StraighTAllDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then what we do is we put all of this into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to be a person of class. C-L-A-S-S. How can you be a person of class? I will explain, of course, in detail in a minute. But first of all, let me tell everybody I have a daily motivation text I send out free of charge every day to everyone who's in my text community. You want to receive this message that is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point, by the way? Text me right now at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every day when I send a daily motivation, because you are in my text community, you will be receiving that text. Also, while you have your phone in your hand, go to workonyourgame.net, and that's where you will get access to my 45-minute training, how to increase your income year over year without running yourself into the pavement in the process. That sounds like what you need right now. The exact recipe that you need, the exact prescription you need. Go there, get access to the 45-minute training. At the end of that training, I will tell you what it will look like. I will tell you actually how to schedule a call with me so we can get on the call and I can tell you what it will look like to have somebody like me help you work through exactly what I'm going to explain in that training. Again, that's workonyourgame.net. Let's get into the topic here, which is how to be a person of class. Class is defined as elegance of style, taste, and manner. I don't need to give too much background on this topic. It's just something that I was looking up something else and I saw this. It was talking about how to be classy, and this person was writing something else. It was writing about like women and dating and talking about how a woman should be classy. And I thought about this, I said, I should do a whole topic on this exact point, not specifically for women, but for anybody. So let's get right into it, and you'll get all the context as I get into the points. Number one, topic once again is how to be a person of class. Number one, carry yourself in a dignified way. You want to be a classy individual. You have to carry yourself with a level of dignity. Definition of dignified is having or showing a composed or serious manner that is worthy of respect. This is an important word, respect, because a lot of people throw the word around without really understanding what it's about, and definitely not understanding how to acquire it or how to get it from other people. I talked about this in episode 2157, demanding versus commanding. Those are two different things. See, demanding respect is when you tell somebody that they have to do something, when you demand something. Commanding is when you carry yourself in such a way that people want to give it to you anyway. So which one would you rather do? Would you rather have to go around demanding things from people, or would you rather command it in such a way that they want to give it to you and you don't even have to ask? I would guess you would choose the latter. I would guess most of you would. See, the dignified person just is classy. They don't have to try to be classy. They don't have to tell you that they're classy. They don't have to demand that you look at them as classy. They carry themselves in such a way that you see them that way anyway, and they're not trying to force it out of you. That's commanding versus demanding. You see, you can feel that with everything that they do. You can feel it in them, and you can be this person as well. See, a classy person carries themselves in such a way that commands, not demands, but commands others to respect them without the classy person trying to make people respect them. You understand? See, there's a touch of subtlety to the way that they carry themselves. A classy person carries themselves with a subtle elegance that makes you say, damn, it's just something about them. You ever come across somebody and they just have that something within them? You don't know what it is. You can't even define it, but they just have something about them that makes you say, all right, something about this person is noteworthy. Something about them is remarkable. Something about them is interesting. Something about them is different than the average person. That's the subtlety that people carry themselves with. And this is what it is carrying themselves in a dignified way. They carry themselves in such a way that the energy they receive from other people is a foregone conclusion. All right, it's not something that they have to lay out and demand and articulate to people. Hey, you need to look at me this way. You need to address me this way. If you have to tell people to do that, then there's something missing from your approach. See, people want to give classy, dignified people respect. You want to give them respect because they carry themselves in such a way that you don't feel like you should give them anything else. See, this point, carrying yourself with dignity, this is especially important when you're in challenging situations, because it's easy to do it, at least if you know what it means. It's easy to do it when everything is kind of working the way that you want it to work. But when you're in a situation where things are not going how you want, how do you carry yourself then? Can you maintain this position and maintain your poise, maintain your elegance, and maintain your classiness when you are being challenged, when things are going left, when things are not going exactly according to plan? All right, this is really where your class shows. And this is a challenge for all of us, but the more of these type of situations you get into, the better you'll get at it. But the biggest thing here is you shouldn't be going around trying to make people feel a certain way about you. The way you carry yourself should cause people to feel a certain way about you, and they are two different things. Point number 2, today's topic once again is how to be a person of class. Number 2, the respect that you have for yourself commands respect from others and outstrips the respect that lower class people need to demand from others. Let me say that again. When you're a classy person, the respect that you have for yourself commands other people to give you that same respect, and it outstrips the same respect that lower level people who have less class than you, they have to demand respect, but the amount that they get, even when they demand it, is less than the amount that you get, and you're not even trying. That's what a classy person does. Classy person gets more than the person who is, they get more by nature of being who they are than the lower level individual gets when they're even trying to do it. And this works in damn near every aspect of life, folks. You could even take it to money and resources. See, the person who has the right mindset around money makes more money without chasing money than the person who's chasing money makes when all they're doing is chasing money. The person who exhausts themselves chasing every dollar can make a certain amount, and the person who doesn't chase the money, but they have the right money mindset, they make twice as much money and they're not even trying. Why? Because energy is more important. Who you're being is more important than what you are doing. Right? How many times have you heard me say that here on this show? I say it all the time because it's true, first of all, and it applies in every aspect of life. The energy that you have and the way that you carry yourself is more important than your skills and the actual, tactical moment by moment things that you do. I'm not saying the things you do don't matter, but the way that you're being matters more than the things that you do. And this is why if you know everything to do, you're doing everything right, quote unquote, but you don't have the right energy, you still won't get success. And some of you, I'm talking about you exactly right now. And what you need to change is your energy and approach strategically rather than just changing your actions and tactics. And I can help you out with that. I just gave you the link. It's workonyourgame.net. Go there, watch the training, and then I'll tell you how to get on a call with me and we can talk about exactly how to do this. Now, the respect that you have for yourself should outstrip, again, anything anybody else will have to demand. So, see, classy people carry themselves with a level of refinement that can be seen, heard, and felt by everyone with whom they cross paths. And that refinement is not about a certain color by numbers things that they do. It's based on a personal standard that this person has, and these personal standards can be learned and is often taught via association. They learn it and it's taught to them via association, meaning classy people usually have classy friends. All right, that's what it means. Whether they were taught by their adults around them during their upbringing, whether they are around their friends who have a certain level of refinement, whether they have peers at work or people they dealt with at school or any other organization that they're a part of. This is how people who are of class have other people who are of class in their circles. All right, this is simply known as a simpler way for me to explain this is the law of association, which I talked about in episode 1880. Meaning what? You become the average of the people you spend the most time with. What does that mean? That means when you come across a person who is crass and has very little class and doesn't know how to conduct themselves, guess who their friends are? Now you can guess who their friends are, because no person of class would be friends with a person like that. And see, a person of class doesn't have a bunch of low-level people around them who have no refinement and don't know how to conduct themselves in a dignified way. Birds of a feather flock together. Now, you've heard that saying before, right? You heard it before because it's true. So I remember I was watching this YouTube video one day when I was taking the notes for this show, and it was talking about how to conduct yourself. This video was describing how to conduct yourself at a formal dinner. Now, I wasn't about to go to a formal dinner, so that's not why I was watching the video, but I just saw the title and I said, oh, it's interesting. Nobody ever taught me how to do that. Let me watch the video. Let me see what they're talking about. And I watched this video and they were explaining, basically it was a guide on table manners, how to use which silverware, When do you get up from the table? If you need to get up from the table, what do you do? What do you say? Where do you put your napkin? If somebody asks you for the salt and pepper, how do you pass it to them? This stuff may seem old school and out of touch, right? Things that some of you are listening to me like, wait a minute, there's a way to pass the salt and pepper? Yes, there is a way to pass the salt and pepper. There's a way that you get up from the table when you're at dinner at somebody's house. There's a way that you are to fold your napkin when you are finished eating, and a way that you fold it when you're not finished eating, a way that you put your fork and knife. There's a whole process to this. And some of you might think, well, who needs that? That's old school. I don't need anything like that. Well, here's the thing you need to understand. If you get invited to somebody's house who has these expectations and you don't know the expectations, you ain't getting invited over there again. And those people in that house might be the exact people who you need to connect with so you can do your next business deal. So does it matter or does it not? You see, these are the things that you got to think about. The law of association is that you need to show people that you understand their level of thinking. It's not about them coming around to you. It's about you coming around to them. And if they don't think you think the same way that they think, they won't be interested in you, even if your skills are exactly what they need. People buy into who you are before they buy into what you do. Everybody heard what I just said? People buy into who you are before they buy into what you do. And when people buy into who you are, you don't even have to be perfect at what you do. They'll buy into it anyway. But if they don't buy into who you are, you could be perfect at what you do and they ain't buying it. This is how it works in life, people. Look at your own life and you will see examples of you doing this. And you will see examples of it happening to you as well, if you think about deeply enough. It matters a whole lot when you're dealing with people who live on this level that you got to be able to get to their level. If you want to exist on this level, you better understand the norms and the standards of the people who operate on that level. Because if you show that you don't, you won't be in their circle for long. The same way that I say, if I walk into a room full of corporate people who've been working in corporate for 30 years and they all wear business suits every single day, I'm going to use a certain type of language when I'm talking to those people. But if I walk into the local urban youth center, there's a bunch of kids who, you know, they stand on the corner when they're not in the gym playing around in basketball. I'm going to give the same principles, but I'm going to say it in a completely different way. I'm going to use a completely different dialect when I'm talking to those kids from the hood and I'm talking to some suits in corporate. Why? Because they have different levels of understanding. They're thinking on different levels. So I got to be able to communicate with them on the level that they're at. Otherwise, they won't hear anything that I said, even though the points are exactly the same. Moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to be a person of class. So with this previous point, what I just said, number 2, what this really is about is whether you understand the concept of buying in or you consider it to be selling out, like I talked about in episode 2235. See, there are times in life when you need to buy into what is going on around you so that you can get in the room, you can get in the circle. Many people, especially in the black community, especially men, young black men, often are looking at things like I'm explaining right now as, oh, I don't need to sell out. I don't need to adjust to what is going on in this space in order to get in that space. You can think that if you want, and you can believe it if you want. If that's the way that you want to operate your life and your business, fine. Just understand that you are going to be excluded from some rooms that you could make a lot of money in if you would just buy in. But if you want to do things your way, fine, do things your way. Just understand what you may be trading off in exchange for doing it. All right, that's the deal. All right, you're not wrong. I'm just letting you know what the deal is. You just need to know what is going to cost you to do things your way versus what it will cost you to adjust to the way things are. See, a lot of people who, going back to this class point, a lot of people who don't have class don't understand the concept of class. They don't want to understand it. They don't look at this like, oh, let me learn how to do that. No, they look at it as, oh, why do I need to do that? Why do I need to adjust myself and the way I carry myself to other people's standard? Why do I got to adjust to them? Why can't they adjust to me? Okay, here's why. Because you don't control every situation. That's why you need to adjust to what other people are doing. It's just like if you're playing a sport and you get on a team. I get on the basketball team somewhere and the coach says, all right, this is the system that we run. But the team that I was on last year, they ran a different system. And I liked the last year's system. I don't like this year's system. Do I go to the coach and say, well, hey, coach, team I was on last year ran a different system and I like that one better? The coach is going to say, what the hell do I care what you like? You're not the boss. I'm the boss. So either you run this system or you go find another team to play for. Now I got to make a choice. I mean, I'm using a very simple example, but who here doesn't understand it? How many of you are bosses where you work? How many of you had the power to hire and fire people? Everybody who's listening to me, how many of you had the power to hire and fire people? What if somebody walked into your place of work where you are the boss and they say, well, look, I don't like the way you do things. We should do things this way because I like it better. It's better suited to me. What would you say? You probably wouldn't say that, but you look at them like they're crazy. Like, wait a minute, do you understand what the deal is here? All right, do you understand the dynamics of what's happening here? As clearly you don't for you to make that ridiculous statement. All right, this is what all of you Everybody needs to understand this, because all of us at certain points, we need to make our adjustments to the situation. Okay, even if you're a boss at work, there are other times when you ain't the boss. There are other times when you need to make adjustments. And how do you get to becoming a boss? At some point, you were a worker, right? At some point, you had to be a rank and file person to get good enough to become a boss. And you understood this. And if you didn't understand it, you never would have got to the point that you are now. Everybody needs to understand this. In some situations in life, you just got to get in where you fit in and fit within the constraints of the situation. There's nothing wrong with this. This is actually smart. All right, this is being strategic. In other circumstances where you're in charge, you make the rules. But anywhere where you're not making the rules, you got to learn what the standards are, or you won't be there for long. This is simply how it works. One of the biggest challenges to this point is that many people see others. They see the outliers, right? The people who make their own way and didn't adjust to anybody's standards, or at least it seems that way. And they're like, well, okay, why not do that? All right, so you see this outlier who made it their own way. And then there are 10,000 outliers out there who think that they can do the same thing that the outlier did, or 10,000 wannabe outliers rather, who think they can do the same thing that the one outlier did, but they don't have the same circumstances, the same skills, the same ability, the same results as the outlier had. So I'll give you an example. And this is where people get in trouble. They see one outlier do something that nobody else did, and they say, well, I can do the same thing as them. The problem is, there's only one of them. So I'll give you an example. Back in my basketball days, I would hear from basketball players who would ask me, Dre, how can I do something like, I get players who say, Dre, I'm in high school, or I just graduated high school. I don't want to go to college, but I want to play overseas. How can I go straight to playing overseas right now? And I would tell them, and I made several videos explaining this, that with 99% accuracy, I could tell most players, you don't have the talent to go from high school to playing professional basketball overseas in any country in the world. But then they would retort and say something like, well, look, I saw 2 or 3 players who did it, so look, I could do it too. And I would say to them, this is my point. Just because you saw a few other people do something does not mean that you could also do it. That doesn't make any sense. So you saw 2 people do something out of 100,000 who tried. Now you think you're going to be the third. Now, it's not necessarily that they're wrong. I mean, there's a 1% chance that they could. But the few people you saw are the exceptions who prove the rule. See, when you see exceptions, that's the proof of the rule. That's not a rejection of the rule, that's a proof of the rule. But many people, especially when they're talking about themselves, don't want to look at things logically. They want to look at the pie in the sky, I can win the lottery type of idea. But this will cost you in the long run. That's why I'm trying to help you by telling you what I'm telling you right now. Point number 4, the topic once again is how to be a classy individual. Having class is supported by material means. Yes, you can be supported by material means to have class, meaning having nice shoes, a nice car, a nice house, whatever amount of money, etc. But understand that you are not defined, your class is not defined by material means. What I mean is, if you don't have a luxury car, a big house, designer suits, expensive jewelry, or flashy shoes, you can still be a classy individual. Being classy is about the way you conduct yourself. It's not about what you physically have, okay? You need personal pride, dignity, and if there's one thing you gotta have some personal standards. So when an organization, group, or culture has class as a whole, it is because they have high standards that are consistently upheld, reinforced, and defended. Let me say that again. When an organization, group, or culture has class, it is because they have standards that are consistently upheld, reinforced, and defended. And if someone violates the standards, they get checked. Now, in any organization where somebody violates the standards and they don't get checked, that's a low-class organization, or they're on their way to being one. All right, simple as that. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. When an organization or culture does not have class, it's because they are low standards or non-existent standards or standards that are not upheld, not reinforced, and nobody defends the standards. As a matter of fact, the standards in low-class groups are often attacked for even existing in the first place. See, in low-class organizations, groups, businesses, whatever, households, is because people attack the fact that there even are standards. The fact that there even are rules, people go against it. Like, why do we even got to have rules? Why do we even have to have standards? In low-level organizations, this is exactly what happens. So all you got to do is look around the organizations that you are a part of and ask yourself, are there standards? Is anybody holding these standards up? And is anybody getting checked when they violate the standards? The answer is yes. You stay in that organization because it's on its way up. If the answer is no, that organization is going backwards. And if you're in it, you're going to go backwards right there with them. All that said, I want you to text me. Get my daily motivation free of charge straight to your phone every day. My number is 305-384-6894. But let me recap this class, this masterclass was the topic, how to be a person of class. Number one, carry yourself in a dignified way, meaning having or showing a composed or serious manner that is worthy of respect. Talked about this in episode 2157, demanding versus commanding. Number two, the respect you have for yourself commands respect from others and outstrips the respect the lower class people have to demand, meaning you're not even trying and you still get more than them, and they're trying as hard as they can. That is because it's a way of being. It is not a way of doing. And number three, what this previous point is about is whether you understand the concept of buying in or you consider it to be selling out. A lot of people say they don't want to quote unquote sell out by adjusting to the standards that are around them in different organizations. Understand, if you're not the boss, your name's not on the door, you better learn how to adjust in life or you're going to have a very long and hard life. And number four, having class is supported by material means, but it is not defined by material means. So you don't need to have material possessions to be a classy individual. You need to carry yourself like a classy individual. The material means will find their way to you because, as I just told you, you're going to be getting more without even trying. And look around the groups that you're a part of. Where are the standards? Are they upheld? Are they clear? Does everybody know that the standards actually exist, and are the standards high? If the answer is yes, stay in that organization even if it's challenging because it will make you better. If the answer is no, get out of that organization because it ain't going anywhere anyway, and it might fall out from under your feet and fall apart anyway whether you leave or not. All that said, text me. I already gave you that number, and go to workonyourgame.net. Get my free 45-minute training, how to increase your income year over year without running yourself into the ground. Those of you who feel like you're running yourself into the ground already, it is specifically for you. And then at the end of that call, I'm going to tell you how to get on a call with me so that we can talk about how you get to that next level and exactly what it will look like. Work on your game. Dre all day.